I will give a summary of what we have about Parkinson's disease, a general description of the disease, and the material that we had for the workshop and before it. Okay, so Parkinson's disease is a neurodegenerative disorder that is characterized by the progressive loss of the dopaminergic neurons in the midbrain. And it is the second most prevalent neurodegenerative disorder in the world, and it affects about 2% of people older than 65. And it is known that the patients develop problems in the motor and non-motor activities. And it's already also demonstrated that the speech impairments are one of the first manifestations of the disease, including problems in articulation and phonation that affects the majority of speakers with Parkinson's disease. Some of the motor impairments that the people with Parkinson's disease develop include bradykinesia, rigidity and postural instability, resting tremor, also impaired speech, and also Parkinson's disease affects non-motor or produces non-motor impairments like problems in the sensory system, problems in cognition, sleep disorders, and problems to express emotions. Typically, Parkinson's disease is assessed by using the Movement Disorder Society Unified Parkinson's Disease Rating Scale. This is kind of the standard, and it has one section which is only about motor activities. That section, which is the third one, has a total of 33 items or questions, each of them ranging from 0 to 4. 0 meaning normal and 4 meaning severe. So the total range of the scale is from 0 to 132. However, only 2 of the questions, of these 33 questions, are about speech. And there is also an earlier version of this scale, which is just called UPDRS, and it ranges from 0 to 108. There is also another scale which is more, let's say, holistic, and it's called Hoon and Yar, and it only ranges from 0 to 4. So for assessing speech, dysarthric speech, which is the main symptom in Parkinson's speech, there is a Franchey dysarthria assessment, which was introduced recently, revised in 2008, and it includes several factors in speech and swallowing, like reflexes, respiration, lips movement, palate movement, laryngeal capability, tongue movement, intelligibility, and some other influencing factors. However, to assess this evaluation, it is required to have the patient in front of the examiner. So if you only have the recording, that is our case, that is not the best option. It is not possible to do it. So what we did for this workshop was to introduce, to develop a modified version of this scale. It has a total of 13 items, each of them ranging from 0 to 4. So the total range of the modified scale is from 0 to 52. And it includes several items like respiration, lips, palate or velum, larynx, tongue, and intelligibility. And for doing that, we used several speech tasks like sustained vowels, the repetition of pataka, red text, and monologues. The available data that we had before the workshop includes 3 languages: Colombian Spanish, German, and Czech. For Colombian Spanish, we have 50 patients and 50 controls. They were recorded in a soundproof booth, and the mean age is 61 years. For the German language, we have 88 patients and 88 controls. The mean age is 64. They were recorded not in a soundproof booth, but in a clinical environment. The same thing for Czech, and it includes 20 patients and 15 controls. The mean age is 60 years in this case. For all of the collections, we have several speech tasks like vowels, pataka, words, sentences, red texts, and monologues, which is let's say the standard by now. So in general, we used different dedicated tests, so we know what the people said. that is good to do automatic analysis, but it's not good to do unobtrusive monitoring. That is our goal here. Monologues, that is something like what did you do yesterday or what you used to do in a normal day, is close to unobtrusive monitoring. So that's why we decided to include all of these speech tasks. So in general, the characteristics of Parkinson's speech include reduced loudness, monotonic speech, breathy voice. The speech has problems in the articulation, is accelerated or slow, depending on which kind of symptoms does the person have. And normally it sounds like stuttering. All of these symptoms are called hypokinetic dysarthric speech. Let me give you an example of a Colombian patient. So you can listen that the person has problems to produce all of the consonants. So that reflects this imprecise articulation symptom. So the effects of Parkinson's disease has a correlation between the speech and the UPDRS score. But of course, there are outliers. For example, here we have one patient that has a relatively high correlation score, UPDRS score, but a low value of the dysarthria assessment. So that means that speech is not an easy task to try to predict the UPDRS score using just speech signals. Also, same patient, we have some Kinect videos of her walking and doing this task, toe heel tapping, and you can see that she can walk relatively normal, but she cannot stop the movement of her arms. So that's why she has a high score of the UPDRS, although her gait is normal. She can write with a normal or with a pretty good letters, and her speech is normal. We can listen to her. So that means that UPDRS evaluation is good to assess general motor movements, but if the person does not reflect problems in speech or in gait, we cannot sense that, we cannot measure that with the sensors that we have available so far. And as I said before, the UPDRS scale only has 2 questions in this motor section about speech. So it seems like UPDRS is not a good reference from speech. And mainly because that scale depends on their mood or emotional state of the day, the patients. It also depends on the time between different evaluations of the UPDRS and the recording time. And also it is highly influenced by the medication intake. Here, for example, we have a plot that shows the UPDRS difference between 2 sessions of different patients. And you can see that for about 60% of the patients, they improved the score. So UPDRS is not necessarily always going up through the time. So it's not the most appropriate score, let's say, to assess. I mean, you have to keep in mind different factors, not only just the number of the UPDRS score. So it's not a good baseline or reference for monitoring based on speech. So in order to overcome this problem, let's say, we introduced this modified Franchise scale, and we asked 3 phoniatricians in Colombia to label all of our recordings 3 phonitricians did that for PCGTA, which is the 50 healthy controls and 50 patients speakers, and 2 of these 3 did the same task for all of the recordings that we have available. According to the literature, a good intra and inter-rater correlation is between 0.5 and 0.8, and in our case, our labelers had an average of 0.75. So we are in a good position in this term. Okay, so for this workshop, we have this additional data. We have a multimodal collection of 30 patients that includes speech, gait, and handwriting. And also we have 26 patients that were recorded during different sessions across 4 years. And also we have 3 groups of genetics Parkinson's people. One is with 6 Parkinson's patients with the mutation or the gene that produces the disease, 7 with the mutation but with no symptoms of Parkinson's disease yet, and 6 non-Parkinson's patients without the mutation but relatives of the others. Additionally, we collected several signals in at-home environment of 7 patients, including speech, gait, and handwriting during 4 sessions all day, spread in 4 months, so once per month. So this table summarizes all of the data that we have for this workshop. So this is female, this is male. This is all of the collections. For example, this red box shows the multimodal collection. These blue columns shows the at-home collection. The green color shows the acoustic conditions. So this is PCGTA. This is multimodal, which was recorded in similar acoustic conditions, and all of these were recorded in different acoustic conditions, so not using any soundproof booth and so on. So this is the summary of all of the material that we had for the workshop. And this table summarizes the speech tasks that we used also here. So for PCGTA we had all of the speech tasks, sustained vowels, pataka, words, sentences, red text, and monologue. For all of the rest collections, we have the same tasks except for words, and in the case of at home, we didn't record sentences. But in at home, we also have conversations, free speech in the at home environment.